church is a called out people. It's a covenant people. It's a new nation, a holy nation, a royal priesthood. God called out of the darkness of this world, out of our different families, tribes, and nations, so that we can show forth the praises of him that called. We are the ones to demonstrate to the world what family is like, what community is like, what nationhood is like. Because this is one nation under God. You know, the glory of God, that those priests, because of them, that tabernacle was destroyed. Even the ark that represents the presence of God was captured by the Philistines. They burnt the tabernacle that Moses built down. Nobody could try that while the glory was there. 400 and something years he has been there. Nobody could try it until corruption hit the priesthood. And when the Philistines captured the ark, they carried the ark to humiliate the God of Israel, put it in the house of their god, Dagon. And when God, that one provoked God, so he dealt with the gods of the Philistines, brought plague on their communities. So they decided they went to inquire from their own magicians, and they told them it is the God that made the heaven and earth to return his ark and all of that with sacrifices. So they decided to return it. They put the ark on a horse, actually, and a cat. Let me pick the word chariot. They call it a cart. It's driven by animals. The horses are driving it. That thing is coming behind with the ark inside. And the Philistines said, this is how we know that this judgment that came upon us actually came from the God of Israel. We are not going to let anybody drive these animals. You know how human beings mount to drive the chariot. If it is the God of Israel, like we've been hearing, these animals, this ark will find his way back to Israel. So they put it and left it. It's that ark, you know, it's the glory of God hit both the animals. The animals became intelligent like human beings. When they got to the border, they turned, looked at the Philistines as if to say bye-bye, and crossed the border and went back to Israel. The fear fell. The Philistines' fear of God fell. These are unbelievers. They offer sacrifices to send back the ark of God. So when that ark came back to Israel, the priest, whose custodian is to keep it, took it, kept in their house. When David heard, so that era of Saul has ended. The era of Eli and his sons has ended. God decided that to correct the thing, to begin a revival, he's going to raise a faithful priest called Samuel. And he did. And then he brought this man called David. Because the Davidic era is a time of revival. That's the state we should be in. So the Davidic people are people who are hungry for God's presence. They want the glory. You see, that's why I asked the question, do we want it or should God stay away? So Davidic people can't stay and the tabernacle is destroyed. No, they will rebuild it. That's why Amos 9 said, I will return and rebuild the tabernacle of David that is falling down. So David rebuilt that music, whatever. They now call it tabernacle of David. He set it up. He built it, finished it. He now said, let's go and bring the ark, because the building without the glory is empty. And they went. But they made a mistake. They carried it, put on a cart, the way the Philistines do. God left the Philistines because they don't know anything. The ark is not to be carried by technology. It's not to be carried by all this method. It's supposed to be carried by men. It is men that carry God's presence. It's human beings. This whole thing we're talking about, God wants to make you a wonder in your generation. A man and a woman that carries his glory. People around you, we know this. There's something about this man. So they made animals to carry God's glory. Why human beings were? God was so angry. I didn't say I will come and live in animals. I didn't say I will come and live in carts and trucks. I said it's human being that will be my temple. So as they were dancing, going, God looked. Who are the people that should show Israel what should be going on? Is it not the priests? The priests themselves don't seem to be acting in ignorance. They don't even understand what is going on. Do you know what happened? So that animal stumbled. They stumbled. And it looks like that cat was about to fall. And the ark of God was going to fall. So one of the priests called Uzzah stretched his hand to help God now. To help stabilize the cat. God killed him there. You see what I'm telling you? This will not have happened if you were doing what you are supposed to. You want to copy the world system to come and do. When the era we're entering now, don't bring comedians to the pulpit. Don't bring entertainment. You want to do entertainment program, have a different program for that. Don't bring it. It's not part of church. They come here and make mockery of the Holy Spirit. There will be some consequences. So, here you won't say you are not taught. Don't go and bring entertainers. Don't go and bring unbelievers to be singing on the pulpit. The priest must be sanctified. You want to practice being a gay? Stay away from God's pulpit. You want to practice sodomy? You will die. Stay away. Just stay and be receiving the word till your leprosy is cured. God said any priest that has leprosy should not appear on his altar. They should stay till that thing is cured. Any priest that has he listed a couple of defects, should stay. Treat it before. Because you are confusing the people and setting the wrong pattern. He said, you should not be stopped for eating the bread of your God, receiving the word, receiving ministry, but you shouldn't be serving that bread. You are polluting God's altar. It's time for the fear of God to return to the church. And the fear of God makes us to depart from iniquity. When the priest Uzzah died, David said, no, I don't want the ark. I don't want the glory again. Please, take it back. Take it away. This thing kills people. No, it doesn't. It's violation of. So they took it back. They kept it in somebody's house. Another priest. His name is Obededon. The whole house prospered within 3 months. Everything. His children. When David heard what the presence of God was doing for the man that keeps it, he said, I want it. But why did somebody die? You see, that time the Bible said David feared the Lord because he didn't want to die. So the priest now has awoken to their responsibility. So they sat with him and said, it's us that made the mistake. We are not supposed to, it's not animals that should carry the glory. It's human beings. It's our job. We are supposed to carry it just like the cherubims carry it up there. And after they did inquiry and got and then they also learned that whenever you're bringing the presence of God, the blood has to be pleaded upon the God's people. When in revival time, you must have the cross and not only Pentecost. That is what will keep you safe. You must always put that blood on you. It's through the blood we come into the holiest of all and won't die. So when David got this secret, they brought blood atonement and sacrifices, and then they got the priests. And then the third element is worship. And they brought all those worshippers and they were worshiping. And David dressed in ephod, and they brought the ark of God back to the city of David. God blessed David's reign, blessed the reign of his son Solomon. So the Davidic era is a time of revival when the ark returns, the glory of God returns. The Solomon's era is the after effect of revival, the prosperity and development that now hits not only the people that seek God's presence, but the society where that happens. We're going to see massive transformation in this country called Nigeria. We're going to see a massive move of God, but God does not start with politics or the society. It starts with his church. I will rebuild the tabernacle of David, and then a revival leads to an awakening in the society. And then it leads to a restoration of righteousness and justice. And then development, national development. God so blessed. Solomon's time now. The after effect of revival. You notice revival, the Protestant Reformation was backed by industrial revolution, and Europe grew and became the most developed part of the world. When the Pentecostal movement hit America, America grew, overtook Europe, overtook all the parts of the world. Everywhere it goes, this the same thing. This industrial power of Turkey that you see today. Turkey was that Antioch where Paul and co had the next move of God after Jerusalem. He shut up that nation. It always will bring prosperity and development. You know what God will do for you guys if we can just cooperate with him and bring this thing back to our country. You guys will end up at the top of every sector of the society. He will start picking you. He will visit your children. The consequences goes for many generations. I'm talking about positive consequences. The people that do it, their generation and their children's children will become the most blessed. And then the society, even this city, Lagos, even this nation. But then towards the ending of Solomon's era, a blunder happens, which we'll have to watch. Because every time a revival starts, then it produces an era of prosperity and development. And then when they stay in that development and prosperity for too long, they forget the source. That's where Europe has reached now. And they are going back to the atrocities again. Europe now and America, that last champion this is going at that peak now. Prosperity, development everywhere. Solomon went back to idolatry. The original thing. They went back to the era of Eli and his son. The priests went back into corruption. Because what is the next thing that follows Solomon? Rehoboam, Jeroboam, where they are creating priests, creating idolatry, creating all kinds of confusion in religion. And so a lot of bad consequences follows. So what does God do to restore again? He sends an Elijah revolution who comes to confront that idolatry and that era of backslidenness, who brings back the prayer movement and recalling people back to righteousness. And then in response to that, fire falls again from heaven. We are now at that state where we need an Elijah revolution. That's where we are now in Nigeria. If we do, and the glory comes, then we're going to see massive prosperity and development That's what happened to Europe. That's what happened to Turkey. That's what happened to Israel. That's what happened to America. And you know the amazing thing? Even when they have lost the revival again, the effect that it created, industrialization, development, modernization, stays. Because the gifts and calling of God, but the glory is removed. So decay starts. Human beings decay. Society start decaying with it. Look at America. Even the schools are not safe. The clubs are not safe. The shopping malls are not safe. They are shooting people every day. Every day. Oh. The few is the one. 6,000 shootings happen in that nation every year. 5,000 to 6,000 every year. Place that was the safest place on earth before. Europe, depressed continent. Depression, drugs, all sorts of things. You see them in the street, you think they are healthy. Emotional problems. People that used to have the best of life. God now is moving his ark to Africa. But we have to understand